Hey, folks, it's Brad Brain. So I'm going to say this right from the start here. I'm going to say some stuff here. It might provoke a response here. If you have some sort of intolerant comments that you feel compelled to make, just keep it to yourself. I'm not interested in hateful content. But I got something I've been thinking about, and it's got me stumped a little bit. And I don't even know what I'm trying to do with this as a video, other than maybe it's a thinking exercise. I, I don't know. I guess that's why I'm recording it. So here's where it started. And I also, let me get this off out of the way here too. Sometimes I'm intentionally provocative, and usually it's trying to stir things up and shake people out of their entrenched ways of looking at the world. But that's not this. This is the opposite. This is something that I guess, you know what? So I'm I do some dumb things, but I'm kind of a smart guy. And one of the things is I'm smart enough to realize I've got my own blind spots and biases and ways of looking at the world, and I know that I don't know everything. Some people think they know everything. I saw something interesting on Twitter a little while ago. I don't remember the exact decimal spot, and it was one of those things that seemed interesting at the time, but I didn't pay much attention to it. But then I reflected on it later, and it was something that was worthy of further consideration. So by that time, though, it was lost to the ether. But somebody said something about how your own experiences might be 0.000000000000001 of what really happened, but your worldview is 80% of what's happened is your experience. You got this causal element to it, right? So I'm smart enough to know that my own experiences aren't the entirety of the world. And having said all that, this is what I found really interesting. Now I subscribe to a investment analysis software called Morningstar, and it's not the only thing that I'll use to check out different investment options, but it's pretty good. It's got some good stuff in it. And one of the things that I noticed as I was looking at a particular investment product is that it talks about not just the investment fund manager tenure, how long people have been on the job, but this is the part that I found interesting. It talks about, it defines by gender now, male and female, which is fine. But it also talks about non-binary. Do you are you interested in whether your fund manager is classifies themselves as non-binary? Like, to me, it never even occurred to me that was a thing. I don't know that there's a non-binary mutual fund manager in the country. But if there was, does anybody care about that? I don't. I do not care about that. I don't. I do not. You can do whatever you want in your own time, right? What I care about is, are you any good at your job? That's what I care about. I don't care if you got purple hair. I don't care if you got a nose ring. I don't care if you got a neck tattoo. I don't care if you're non-binary. It really does not matter to me whatsoever. But maybe it matters to some, and that's what I'm wondering about. Because just because it doesn't matter to me doesn't mean it's not important. I saw something else that was interesting on Twitter, and this is unrelated. Maybe you've seen this too. It's a video going around. I don't know the context of this. It kind of seems like it's a university lecture, and the question from the audience is, I don't know what the initial topic was, but the question is, what about folks who have wombs but are not women? Okay, so this isn't something I can claim any inside knowledge about. This would be like me trying to think what life would be like as a person of color, right? You can't put yourself in that position, or a female, right? These are people that go through life having 100% different experiences as me, a white male Canadian born in the last part of last century. My life is defined by all of that. And if you don't have that stuff, then your life is different than my life is. So I don't know what it's like to be non-binary or any of the other versions of gender and sexual orientation. But that's the question. What about folks who have wombs but aren't women? And then I guess this is the lecturer. They said in response, there are two genders, male and female. Pretty straightforward response. And then the audience is going, well, this affects more than women. It affects all sorts of other people. And then the lecturer goes, well, women have wombs. Now, this is the interesting part. The response from the audience was aggressive. Like they wanted to argue. Women have wombs? No. I guess more than just women have wombs. So I know it doesn't really matter how I feel about that. The point is that other people might feel differently. And I thought that was interesting, right? Do people actually care whether their fund manager is non-binary or not? I don't know. Here's something that I also saw. This is from a guy I've been following lately. His name's, I might get the pronunciation wrong because I've had some quick email exchanges with the fellow, but I don't actually know the guy. Martin, I think it's Pelletier. I think that's how you pronounce it. I think some Anglos butcher it and call it Pelletier, but I don't think that's actually how you're supposed to pronounce it. And what he said in this one quick Twitter post is he said, when doing due diligence on investment managers, the number one factor to look for from a risk management perspective is ego. That's insightful comment. It's so easy to start believing your own press clippings in this industry, right? To think you have some sort of all-encompassing knowledge about all the things that are possibly going to happen, and the reality is that nobody, doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how much time you've spent doing this, nobody knows with precision what the future holds. If Warren Buffett doesn't have a crystal ball, I know for a fact I don't, right? So that's an insightful comment. Number one thing to look out for is ego, and I've had some experiences where you get these warning signs, and it's because there's lots of things that are easy to label, and when things are easy to label, then you can measure them and you can assign importance to them. And so in our industry, we talk about things like sharp ratios and stuff like that. That stuff's easy to measure, but how do you measure a guy's ego, right? Because if somebody is not grounded, then that actually could be a problem. I remember a conference I was at years ago. This is going back where the tech boom was still happening. So this would have been late 90s, early 2000, but it wouldn't be 2001 because that's when everything melted. And we're at a conference, and this conference that was in a town that happened to have a casino. And there's a lot of people at this conference, big enough that there's buses, right, chartered to get us from dinner to the different functions. And then I don't know whose idea this was, but somebody said, let's go to the casino. And a bunch of people wanted to do that. But the thing about that, which I still remember now, was a couple of the investment fund managers who are working with science and technology funds, which was the big thing of the day. Right now we've had all these other stuff. If we were to rewind about a year ago, it would have been cryptocurrency. That's interesting. I had a guy come in that day telling me his buddy made a lot of money in crypto. Not recently, he didn't, right? Bitcoin's down 2/3 in the last year. Some stuff is down worse than that. But back in the day, people thought that they were making money in crypto. Well, that was kind of the science and tech was the trailblazer for that type of experience. These guys, they thought that they could do no wrong. And, in hindsight, it could have been a red flag that these people who were entrusting our money to were really excited to go gambling. Maybe they've got a clear distinction in their personal lives and their professional lives. I don't know if they were, how much they're gambling. Maybe they're betting 25 cents with their buddies. I don't know. But, me and my other friend, we were reflecting on this after that. That's probably something we should have noticed, was that we got these guys who are managing money. And at least in one context, they like to gamble. Because sure enough, those their investments also turned out to be gambles. With the benefit of hindsight, that all went down the toilet. So sometimes what you're looking out for when you're choosing investments, it's not things like Sharpe ratios and I don't know, whatever else you want to look at. Beta, even price earnings ratios is one of the things I look at. So what's the takeaway from all this? I don't know, really. I mean, I guess when it comes to selecting your investments, there's the stuff that I would pay attention to, which is what's the decision-making criteria of the investment managers? What's their sell discipline? How do they define what makes for a good investment? What's their ego? Things like that. But then, I guess, is there anything else that I should be thinking about that maybe I'm not? Do I Am I oblivious to things that are as important to other people? Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to change my mind and all of a sudden I'm going to start interviewing people asking them if they're non-binary or not, but made me stop and think. So I'm open to discussion on this, but real discussion. If you're hateful, then keep it to yourself. Okay. All the best to you. I'm Brad Brain. Stay healthy. Be well. Take care.